YouTube, what is going on? Chris with Journals, Comics, and Pop Culture. Today we are bringing you the second installment in our 5-part video series. This is the top 50 key comics to invest in for under $50, and we are counting down numbers 40 through 31. The way we're going to count these down is we're going to look at a current fair market value, compare that to a fair market value from a few years ago. We're going to be looking at graded value as well as raw values. And the lower we get on the list, the hotter these books have increased over those last few years. Before we get into it, if you aren't subscribed to the channel, please take some time to do so. Check out all the awesome links below, including the link to bcwsupplies.com. And I just want to remind everyone that if you use the code JOURNOS, you will receive 10% off of your order. This code never expires. You all can use it as many times as you want. So if you need some comic supplies, definitely take advantage of saving some money there. But let's just get right in to these 10 books today, starting off with number 40. We have Fantastic Four, number 107. This is the second appearance of ANNIHILUS. Beautiful 15-cent. I do believe this is early Bronze Age. I think it came out in 1970. Let's look at these numbers, and then I'll talk about the book real quick. Now, this is top 50 for under 50. That under 50 is raw value. You can see these CGC values right here. We're looking at a 9.4 current fair market value, sitting at about $200. 3 years ago now, way back in 2019, $150. So that's a 33% increase in value, and that is decent and solid, with an average raw sale of $18. So again, I say this in all my videos, your average raw sale is basically simple average. You take all the sales, add up the price or the value of those sales and divide it by how many books sold. That's how you get your average raw. It does not pertain to any specific grade. So the way I look at the average raw and how I evaluate that to the book and what I might be able to find out there, this is a 15-cent book, so most likely you're probably going to find a lot more lower to low mid-grade books selling on the market next to like high near mint books. So for that $18, I would look to expect maybe a low mid-grade around that range for that price, okay? Now, why do I have this book on the list? Of course, you already saw if you watched the first installment of this series when we counted down 50 through 41. Second appearances or next best things are much more affordable keys than, of course, their first appearance counterparts. So, hey, second appearance of ANNIHILUS. I think ANNIHILUS right now is being overlooked in general, and I do believe this character, in my humble opinion, this is just my opinion, is going to show up in the MCU at some point. But again, I like to look at books not just because of movie spec, but what they can do potentially long term, and I think, you know, this is a good one that's kind of flying under the radar. All right, now before we move on, I'm going to give you guys my spiel like I always do. I'm not here to tell you to buy any of these books. That's not what I do. I'm here to give you some facts, some data, and of course, add my own personal opinion of what I think of the books. If you are willing to take the risk and have some love for the books, it might be something for you to think about if it may be a right time to buy. But if you got no love and you're not willing to take the risk, then hey, stay away and just collect how you love. But with that being said, let's get into book number 39. This is Brave and the Bold. Number 200, the first appearance of Katana in The Outsiders. Okay, I can't wait to talk about this book, but let's look at these numbers. We're looking at a 9.0 for this book. So a current 9.0 CGC fair market value, $110 next to 3 years ago, 82. That's a 34% increase. Again, that's decently solid. And remember, folks, I want to give you context for these fair market values. Fair market values are a moving average. They can change week to week, day to day, and they are still an average. It's not an exact science, but it is a good way to evaluate what a fair price is. All right. Average raw, $23. This is a later Bronze Age book, so you know you could probably find a nice, I would guess maybe a high mid grade, you know, somewhere around the fine range for that price. And again, that's just my guess. Okay, DC Books. I'll probably say this a lot and repeat myself in this video series. DC books right now, I think, are a solid investment in general, simply because there is no movie hype like the MCU. There's a lot less spec on them and a lot less eyes on them. And when you look at DC key books, especially Copper and older, they still ultimately increase in value over the long term. They might not spike or boom like certain Marvel keys just because of how successful the MCU has been, but still, they are solid investments in my humble opinion. This is a book, again, this book has some awesome characters. I mean, Katana, Black Lightning, these first appearances at this value, I think, is a very, very sound investment, and of course, still affordable with lower risk. I don't own this book. I hope to own this book one day, maybe one day soon. Let's move on to 38 on the list. Some more DC, and we got some Damian Wayne action. This is Batman 656, the first appearance of Damian Wayne. He did make a very, very brief cameo in 655. Let's look at these numbers. Current 9.6 CGC fair market value. Very affordable 9.6, you would think, for Damian Wayne. Sitting at about $162 next to 3 years ago, $120. That's a 35% increase with the average raw of $24. Now, the thing with me too is I am very honest about the simple fact that modern books are, there's a lot more risk. There's a lot more risk and a lot more volatility in modern books. But I think at this point, for how long Damian Wayne has been around, he's established himself as a solid character that's here to stay. He's got a huge fan base, and I think he's a great Robin for the simple fact that he's Batman's son. It makes him even cooler, right? So, again, I do think this book has a lot of potential to grow, even without any type of movie spec or anything like that. But this is one, guys, you know me, I'm not a stickler for 9.8. This is something there I would stay away from the 9.8s. I'd probably buy this raw. I mean, I do own the book, but if I didn't and I was looking for it, I would most likely seek out a high raw grade with the chance of sending it in and hopefully maybe getting that 9.8. But that's just me. But let's move on to book number 37. We have Avengers 89. This is the beginning of the KREE SKRULL War. All right. A lot behind this book. Let's look at these numbers. Current 9.6 CGC fair market value, $380. 3 years ago, $255. That's a 49% increase. As you guys see here, these increases are getting higher and higher and higher. But look at this, an average raw, $22. So again, this is for a 15-cent cover price book. Of course, when you get up to that 9.6 grade, they're gonna be higher in value. But this tells me that you could still probably get a nice low mid-grade book for around $20. And that to me is a very, very solid deal. I don't know if they're ever going to do anything about the KREE SKRULL War in the MCU. Obviously, there was some hint to it in the Captain Marvel movie, but there's just so much here with this story. And it's been reprinted, I think 2 times. So it's a very important storyline in Marvel Comics, and I can't see the MCU not doing something with it. But again, look, what do I say, especially about these Silver and Bronze Age books? Regardless of movie hype, solid long-term investments. All right, let's move on to 36. We got Thor 338, the second appearance of Beta Ray Bill. Here we are again, folks, and I said this in the first video. You're going to see a lot of next best things on this list because this is a 50 and under list, right? Second appearance of Beta Ray Bill. Let's look at these numbers. Current CGC 9.6 fair market value, 120. 3 years ago, 75. So it's increased 60% over the last 3 years with an average raw of $23. Iconic cover too, cover swipe of Thor 126. So a lot of spec on Beta Ray Bill right now of him showing up in the MCU. Obviously, we got that Easter egg, almost 5 years ago now with the in Thor Ragnarok with the statue head on the building. But here's the thing. This is where you got to kind of, if you're in the market for this book or for this character, you got to play the field. And you got to ask yourself the right questions. Do I buy now or wait with the possibility of getting a real announcement of this character showing up and then missing the boat? So with all the spec, it's obviously increasing all of his key books. But once you get that announcement, that's when these things spike. And look, you never know how that spike is going to last in the short term, because there can always be fluctuation when it comes to movie hype, whether they show up in a movie and then disappear and then we don't see them again for a while. It can dip back down, but maybe they show up again and it dip backs up. Maybe though, it booms so much when we get the announcement and we see him in the MCU, and then even when it dips down a little bit, it sets a new floor and it never gets to where it's at right now. These are all risks that we take when we are, in a sense, investing in comic books. So again, my recommendation, if you're in the market for this book or anything Beta Ray Bill, just be very, very careful. Educate yourself, do your due diligence, and have patience. I just came up on his first appearance, 337, just last year in 2021 for a decently high grade copy, way under fair market value at the time. So again, there are deals out there, folks. All right, we are halfway through the list today of today's 10. And of course, before we move on to the final 5, I just want to take less than 60 seconds to let you all know about today's sponsor, PopCultureZone.com. PopCultureZone.com is an online shop focusing on hot new comics, including exclusive and incentive variants, CGC graded comics, and tons of other inventory, including pop culture toys and other collectibles, all at low and competitive prices. PopCultureZone.com ships all over the US, and if you are buying raw comics, they offer flat rate shipping of only $4.99. That's right, $4.99. Absolute craziness, right? And there's no taxes included, excluding New Jersey. Pop Culture Zone is also on eBay, where they hold a 100% positive feedback rating with over 8,000 completed transactions for this year alone. Make sure to check out the link to their website below, as well as their eBay link, so be sure to give them a follow there as well. All right, again, big thank you to PopCultureZone.com. Definitely check them out, folks. Good people as well. But let's go right in to book number 35 on the list, Wonder Woman. Number 1, her Volume 2 series. George Perez, goodness. What George Perez did on this series, man. And I know it's heartbreaking to know the news of what's going on with George Perez, and to know that he might not be with us much longer. I don't make light of that, but I'm just being honest when I say that if he passes, it's going to bring a lot of focus on his books, which is well deserved. So, but outside of that, this is the first modern appearance of Themyscira and Hippolyta, and it's just this run of Wonder Woman is becoming more and more sought after. I think for the storyline and of course for all the wonderful George Perez artwork. So let's look at these numbers. Current CGC 9.6 fair market value, $105. What is mine? I have a 9 point. No. I don't have a graded copy of this book. I do have a high grade raw though. 3 years ago, $64. It's a 64% increase with an average raw sell of $35. So, this is a 80s Copper Age book. So when you think of an average raw sell for $35, you could probably expect more higher grades, not necessarily near mint. But I mean, look, if a 9.6 graded is still going for $105, that means you could probably get a solid, decent, higher grade for $35. I would assume, at least, if you're really playing the market, you could find something at least close to a very fine for that price right now. All right, but let's move on to number 34, Avengers 45. Some awesome Silver Age goodness. This book, Hercules joins the Avengers. Hercules right now, guys. I've talked about Hercules over the last year. Current 9.2 CGC fair market value, $166. That blows my mind for a Silver Age book like this. 3 years ago, $100, a 66% 3-year increase with the average draw of only $19. Again, you're probably looking at lower mid-grade, just because it's a Silver Age book, it's older. $166 for a 9.2. So a lot of spec around Hercules since, we got the Russell Crowe casting of Zeus for the Thor Love and Thunder movie. And there are definitely some Hercules keys outside of his first appearance that are definitely more affordable right now that I think I do. And again, this is just my opinion. I think it's a decent time to buy if you're into the market of looking into Hercules. This one right here too, again, an average draw of $19. Really affordable with, low risk here. So it's just, I think Hercules is inevitable in terms of showing up in the MCU. So hey, look, if you're, there's a lot of good Silver Age and I think even early Bronze Age Zeus books that are really affordable right now. Excuse me, not Zeus, Hercules, that could really see an increase if we get him in the MCU. All right, we have 3 more books on the list today, folks. My lucky number 33, and it is, one of my favorite X-Men books. Uncanny X-Men 244, the first appearance of Jubilee. I remember buying this book as a very young kid off the rack because my brother and his friends were so into X-Men. Jubilee, I grew to love Jubilee because of the, X-Men animated series. Let's look at these numbers. We got a 9.8 here, folks. Current 9.8 CGC fair market value, $243. When you think about what certain books are doing on the market right now for in their 9.8 grades, it's unfathomable that this book is only selling roughly for $243 on average in a 9.8. We've seen random modern spec books push back, or even like 90s spec books of characters that hold really no weight start selling for like $600. It's in 9.8s. It's crazy to think that this is only at 243 roughly. Comparing that to 3 years ago, 137, that's a 70% increase. So of course that's a solid increase. Average raw sale, $47. Later 80s book. So again, I'm sure you could find a decently higher grade, probably not near mint, but hey, look, explore your options. Go to your LCSs, look in the back issue bins, and just see what's out there if you are in the hunt for this book. X-Men right now, though, folks. We know it. We've been saying this for I think over a year and a half now since Kevin Feige announced it in 2019 that the X-Men are coming. After they finished the deal with Fox. So it's just a matter of time. And with what Kevin Feige has said about how the X-Men are going to show up, I've been saying this. He said that the X-Men are going to look different. All right. I don't think they're just going to introduce all the same characters. I think they're going to introduce and give some screen time to characters that we really haven't seen in the Fox franchises. I think Jubilee could absolutely be one of those. I also don't think that we're going to see the X-Men show up as a team. I think we're going to see random mutants sprinkled throughout some films and TV shows first. But that's just my humble opinion, guys. Awesome book here. But let's move on to number 32. This is Web of Spider-Man, number 36. The first appearance of Tombstone. Man, I think Tombstone is definitely a overlooked, underrated Spidey villain. Let's look at these numbers. Current 8.0 CGC fair market value, $126 next to 3 years ago of 70 and 80% increase. Average raw sale, $20. In later 80s book, so maybe a decently, high mid-grade to very fine, possibly for that $20 mark. I think where the next trilogy of Spider-Man is going to go, we know that they said it's definitely going to be darker. It's going to be more grimy. I think it's going to involve a lot more street level villains like possibly Kingpin, and we know why that could be as well. And then you got folks like Tombstone, Silvermane, Hammerhead, a lot of these, the Rose, a lot of characters that I think can show up. But again, I think, outside of movie hype, think the Web of Spider-Man run in general has a lot of potential to increase in value. You know, all three of Spider-Man's runs running up until the early 90s were, I think, extremely iconic. And as Amazing Spider-Man, the Legacy run gets more, people get more and more priced out, even from standard run fillers. You know, and you start looking at the next best things or those secondary titles like Spectacular Spider-Man and Web of Spider-Man. Last book on the list today, folks. Coming in at number 31, we have Tomb of Dracula, number 19. Some Dracula and Blade goodness. This is where it is revealed that Blade is half vampire. So, you know, definitely more of a minor key, but everything has been booming in terms of spec on not just Blade, but even Tomb of Dracula, with the possibility of Dracula showing up in the MCU at some point. Mahershala Ali, you know, Hyro, the folks, he's, you know, for those that don't know, started out from Oakland in the music game, got into the acting, and has just really been blowing it away. I'm so proud of his success, and I think he's going to kill it as Blade. But let's look at the numbers for these books. Current 9.4 CGC fair market value, $115. 3 years ago, $63. It's an 83% increase with the average raw sale of $22. This is a you know, earlier Bronze Age book, so you could probably find a mid-grade copy for about $22. But this Tomb of Dracula run is just, it has been on fire. All of it. Not even the key, not even just the keys. So I think, again, any early Blade like this, there's a lot of upside and a lot of potential before we actually get any type of trailer or anything like that for his film. All right, folks, that's the 10 today. I cannot wait to do the next 3. Coming up next, we're going to be counting down 30 to 21. Let me know what you guys thought of the books on the list today. Let me know how many you guys have in your collection, and also let me know which ones you guys might be hunting right now. But before we go, as always, I got to give a big shout out and thank you to my Patreon members and my YouTube channel members. First and foremost, to my Patreon members, thank you so much for your continued support. I actually just picked out the prizes that I'm going to be giving away for my end of the year giveaway for both my Patreon members and my YouTube members. If you guys are interested in signing up, links are below in the description. It's only $3.99 a month for Patreon. And if you sign up before I run the drawing for the giveaway, you will be automatically entered into that. But again, to my YouTube channel members, if you guys are interested, you can click that join button below. That's only $1.99 a month. So thank you all so much for the continued support. Both get extra perks, early access to at least a few videos a month. Of course, I do my random giveaways for my members, and of course, other special perks as well. So again, thank you guys all so much. Please be well out there. Be safe. Thank you all for watching. And again, please subscribe if you haven't yet. And until next time.